Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Clean Cut EDC. Today, we are taking a look at the pickled steel Gorm. Yes, you can find this knife at www.pickledsteel.co.za. The links will be in the description, along with the specs, along with just shortly a summary of what I think about this knife. But today, I decided we're going to do things a little bit different during the review. We're not going to spend too much time looking at the dimensions and stuff like that. Rather, we are going to take a look at 5 different aspects. We want to take a look at the price, the durability, the materials. We want to take a look at the action, and we want to take a look at the overall design. Yes, love this thing. Pickled steel Gorm. Let's start off with the price, people. Gonna be less than 600 Rand. That is a fantastic price, in my opinion, for a knife that features, obviously, carbon fiber scales. I don't know if I've ever seen a knife under 600 Rand that features carbon fiber scales. That's actually quite impressive. I know that the Penguin, the Penguin from QSP, I've seen Penguins that are along the 700 Rand range with shredded carbon fiber scales and D2 plate steel. But if you do compare these two, size-wise, you're getting a lot more knife with the Gorm than you are with the Penguin. So that's just something to be considered. But yes, 600 Rand, it's actually 595 Rand, which is what, 30, about $30, maybe even less, like $29, $28. So that's not bad, You don't often see a knife with carbon fiber for that price. It does feature, just taking a look at the materials, it does feature actually 440C blade steel, which used to be a great steel, right? And now I'm talking about, early 2000s, late 1900s. It used to be basically the stainless steel you got in your Victorinox, the 428C you got on a Leverman, and then the 440C that you got on, to be honest, the more actually premium knives back then, right? So in the olden days, 440C used to be actually, in a sense, a super steel, or as we see it today, as a super steel, right? Today we have the Magna Cuts, the CPMs, and the 154CMs, and the S35, S45, S90Vs, and the 3V, and the M4s, and the Maximit, and the Rex 45s. It is crazy. We have so many super steels, and they are so specific, right? M4, super tough, keeps an edge forever, terrible to sharpen, and definitely terrible with regards to corrosion resistance. So, yeah, we have many different steels now, but 440C is actually still a pretty decent steel. Honestly, it's comparable to HCR, and I know HCR has become sort of obsolete now, but in my experience, 440C doesn't take as fine an edge, but it keeps its edge quite long. And in my experience, I found it to be a little bit more durable, a little bit tougher than HCR, right? And also a little bit harder, maybe. So, yeah, it's a good steel for EDC. It will basically do the job, right? You're just gonna have to take it to the sharpening stone a little bit more often than D2, but it is more rust resistant or corrosion resistant than D2. So there's that, right? There's a trade-up. Scales, material-wise, carbon fiber, true carbon fiber scales. Very nice. Love the pattern. It's beautiful. This is one of those knives that, not everyone is going to love it, the looks of it, but I don't know. I like it. I feel it has a very futuristic look to it. Usually I do like, my bit more tactical looking knives, or, the sort of fade on my Carta, and just the textured looks of sort of a bit more bushcrafty. But every now and then I do like the futuristic looks, such as also the Elijah Isham, the Vita from Kaiser, very nice look to the knife. I think, this knife is a great all-rounder. And I did speak to Pickled Steel, and they said actually that they didn't make this knife to be the top dog at all. They didn't, they're not selling it also as that or marketing it as that. It's basically just a fun all-rounder, good lightweight EDC knife that's still durable, still functional. It basically ticks all the boxes halfway. So it's not the most durable. It's not, the most functional. It's not the most comfortable, but it's just fine. It's about a 7 out of 10 in all of those aspects, right? And by 10, I mean in the budget line, right? Not like like a Sabenza or something like that. So yeah, I think I like the look, definitely. It's very cool. We have polished stainless steel liners, pretty decent liners, not skeletonized. We have some stainless steel backspacers, thumb studs, pivot, the pocket clip, and they are anodized and very uniform in their look. So I like that. I also do like, with regards to just the design, this little, liner that protrudes. With regards to comfort, we'll speak about that soon, but I don't like it. But with regards to just the design on placing the lanyard on the same level as the scale, I definitely prefer it that way, right? I don't like it when my lanyard protrudes, when my lanyard sort of sticks out at the end of my knife. I want it to be on the same level because I want it to be, in fact, an extension of the scale. That is what I like my lanyards to be, right? So yeah, definitely a cool looking knife and very versatile in its, EDC ability. So you can carry this knife to a gala event or a fancy function or whatever, or you can carry it, on a bush hiking adventure. It will fit the role in most cases quite nicely. So it can be your fancy knife at a very budget price. So if you are maybe someone that don't, you are hesitant on spending over R1,000 on a fancy looking knife, then definitely take a look at the Pickled Steel Gorm. It ticks a lot of boxes, still very functional, but definitely has a fancy knife look to it, right? So that's great. Right, let's take a look just at the design aspects. We have a standard blade shape, very versatile blade shape, nice belly, great cutting edge, quite a large blade. This is actually a pretty large knife. There we have it, 4-finger grip, and still a little bit sticking out at the ends. That's very good right there. Yeah, bevel, so durability is not going to be bad with regards to this tip. We have a little bit of a bevel there that reinforces that tip. And it's actually a pretty fixed stock, around 3, maybe a little bit more, 3.5 millimeters. It tapers down towards the tip. But it's, once again, it's a fine tip, but it's not a weak tip, and that's what we want. Saber grind on this not full saber grind, but a flat grind behind the edge. Beautiful belt satin finish right there. That is wonderful. Definitely a looker, right? Definitely a looker. One aspect that I must say is just absolutely extraordinary when it comes to the Gorm is the way they did the scales. So good. The issue you get with carbon fiber is that it is slippery, right? Carbon fiber scales does not provide you with a lot of grip, but they asked the question. They were like, okay, how can we keep the beauty of a carbon fiber scaled knife but still make it functional? You have to rake, and rake, the issue with the scales, even though I do like the look of the scales, is it's slippery. And they could have easily just milled out 3 lines here, or did a Chris Reeves pattern, like a crisscross pattern on the scale, to just provide a little bit of traction. But they decided, no, let's just leave it that way. No, not pickled steel, my friend. What they did is they milled out the carbon fiber in strategic places to keep the carbon fiber look, but to provide grip in all the right places when it comes to this knife. So even though I'm holding something that shouldn't provide me with a lot of grip, very slippery scales, because of the strategic position of the cutouts, I actually end up with quite a lot of grip when it comes to this knife. We don't have jumping, and that's okay. We don't need jumping on every single knife. Your finger is going to be about just behind the thumb studs or just above the thumb studs. You want to choke up. You can use this as a trigger, but I don't necessarily suggest that because it doesn't really guide your finger away from the blade. So you're taking a 50-50 gamble there. If you're maybe, what you call it, in gedachte. If you are daydreaming and while working with this, then you might, and choking up on it, then you might cut yourself. So just take that into consideration. We have actually a deep carry pocket clip with a higher ride experience. Design-wise, I don't have a problem with that, and I'll show you guys why. So here's some pants of mine, and this is something that I found, and it might just be me, right? when you have the deep carry experience with the a deep carry pocket clip, but with a high ride experience, right? Your knife sits, nice in the pocket, but it does protrude out of the pocket, stick out of the pocket, and offer you this little place to grip when taking out the knife. Now, a lot of people want that deep carry experience, and I also used to be that way, They want it to be truly concealed, tucked away completely. Like, is that a pen? Is that a wallet? What is going on in that pocket? No, it is a knife. But now, what you guys can see immediately here, and this is why I now have sort of switched over from deep carry pocket clips to more high ride experience, is when I actually go to take out my knife, I inevitably end up, when gripping the knife, in fact, pinching my pants between the pocket clip and the knife. And it does end up sort of, it depends on how stiff the pocket clip is, but you do want a stiff pocket clip, obviously, because you don't want your knife to fall out. But you will end up, over time, sort of tear your pants and start working out your pants in the places that you keep your knife in. Whereas with the deep carry pocket clip, I don't need to really touch the pocket clip. So I'm not pressing the pocket clip into, the knife, and therefore pinching my pants between the pocket clip and the knife. I am, and especially when it comes to G10, when you have a G10 knife, that's going to end up sort of, working your pants over the long term. Or even FRN, such as this, it's going to end up working your pants over the long term if you're pressing your pocket clip or pinching your pants between the scale and the pocket clip. With the high ride experience, I can just take it up here. There's no need for me to even touch the pocket clip. And it's still concealed enough that I don't really, care. People probably going to say, oh, it's a knife, but so what, man? I mean, if I see someone with this, I'm anyway going to think it's a knife. I'm not going to think it's a pen, all right? I will know it's a knife. It's not going to be a wallet. It's not going to be a pen. It's going to be a knife. And I think most people are not stupid enough to think otherwise. Yeah, right. Okay, but I mean, I respect deep carry pocket clips. I still like them. I'm just telling you the upside of a deep carry with a high ride experience, right? What else? The design-wise, ergonomics-wise, it's not the most comfortable knife. This little bit here is actually the biggest problem. So the decompression of the liner, very accessible, but very uncomfortable. It's a little bit too aggressive on the thumb, especially after the third or fourth time that you've closed this knife or decompressed this liner. You're going to feel it. I promise you. You're definitely going to feel it. So they went a little bit too far with regards to the jumping on the liner, actually, right? The liner lock. So that is a hot spot also when holding it. It is a little bit of a hot spot. But what I've found is that, even though it is a hot spot, it's not that uncomfortable when using the knife. So when I'm cutting up stuff, such as paper, this is like a very thick type of paper, I don't end up actually, feeling that too much. I guess if I need to do a job where it takes a little bit more power, I might feel it a little bit more. But it's difficult to say. It's definitely not like 100% uncomfortable. It's just not the most comfortable that I've experienced. Also, another thing that creates a little bit of a hot spot, I wish the flipper came, flush with this little scale part here, the guard here, because those corners do end up catching your finger a little bit. So that's not the best. Also, if you need to shift down on the knife, I did find that this corner does also create a hot spot. So ergonomically, I've experienced a lot better from pickled steel. But I'm also very spoiled because I have experienced the Capolavoro, which is like holding a cloud in your hand, right? It's like holding a bunny's tail in your hand. So it's lovely, man. And therefore, I can say that that this is definitely not a 10 on the ergo scale. But not bad, not bad. If you have a knife like this, it's not a deal breaker in any way, I'd say. Yes, then otherwise, durability-wise, carbon fiber is not as tough as G10, micarta, wood. Maybe it's as tough as wood, but it's not, also not FRN necessarily. So it will take a fair beating, It will take about as much damage, I'm sure, as the penguin. And I have put the penguin through it, man. Yes, I have chopped wood with this knife. I have treated it horribly. And it's still very functional, very much functional. So this knife will definitely be able to do what the Penguin does. It will also, Honey Badger in HCR is going to take about the same beating as this knife. So it's tough enough. The Honey Badger is branded, the HCR version was branded as Africa's toughest knife. So this thing, I think, might be even able to take it a bit further. But yeah, with regards to durability, it's not a workhorse, but it's a good EDC. It's gonna do the job and ask for more, that's for sure, right? And price-wise, definitely worth every penny. With regards to materials, with regards to the design factor, with regards to the durability, definitely worth it, definitely. I apologize, South African load shedding is a horrible thing. Anyway, let's do some size comparisons just before we end off, and a little bit of just a weight comparison. We have the Riku D here, which I absolutely love. Definitely going to do a review on this one soon. I just need to give it a little bit more pocket time because the Riku T has sort of, I don't know why, but taken all the pocket time the last while. And Freya, which is the same as the Remet Peacock. See there, it's a little bit bigger than the Freya. Okay, the Honey Badger Large, Tanto, B2. It's a little bit shorter than the Honey Badger Large. It's a little bit longer than the Penguin. And then the Rake B801 SF will be the last one we do. Right there. There we go. Right. Very similar to the Rake in size. And the Rake is not small, so it's a big boy knife. It's a nice big knife, But lightweight, very lightweight. Let's take a look at the weight just for a moment. Here we go. 115 grams, right? 115 grams. That's fantastic. That's about the same as the Honey Badger. Yeah, about the same as our large Honey Badger. So good weight. Anything, under 128, in my opinion, is just fine for me. I like light knives like this guy right here, but not as my primary. I don't know. A heavy knife just feels more durable. It feels more solid. I just like heavy knives a little bit more. They feel like they can take a punch a bit better than something like this. This is the Peacock, the Penguin, and it's about 94 grams. And when we go, below 100 grams, it can be good. The Freya definitely feels, solid. It can definitely be your primary, and it feels good. But it's very seldom that you actually find a knife under 100 grams, in my opinion, that feels like it can take a lot of beating. It can do the job and ask for more. So that's good aspect with regards to this knife. Lightweight, not skeletonized liners, so they didn't really want to drop the weight more, and I think it's a good call. I think they got it just right. Also the balance, if they were to drop the weight, the balance would be a little bit off on this knife. Right now it is absolutely perfect. Fantastic job. So is it worth the money? Is it worth 600 rand? Yes, it definitely is. It slices like a beast. It's not perfect in any one area, but it's good enough in most areas. It's definitely good enough. It's very versatile. I can promise you guys that. If you're not willing to spend more than 600 rand, then this is going to be a fantastic knife to get, because it covers so many different aspects. You get a great action with the deployment of the thumb studs, the flipper tab. It's almost an assisted action. Just comes flying out, lightning fast action, and runs on ball bearings. Carbon fiber scales, adds that flair, that fancy flair that we look for. The 440C blade steel is rust resistant. It's low maintenance. It keeps an edge well. As you guys can see, it slices like a dream. It takes a good edge. So there's really nothing to complain about too much when it comes to this knife, especially at the price range. But keep in mind that it's not made to be an absolute stunner. It's made to be a versatile, good-looking knife, and it definitely fits its role. So guys, have a knife day, and remember that no knife means no life.